This conference will now be recorded.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Board of Commissioner meeting for Lake Stevens Sewer District. It is April 28th, 2022, 9 a.m. As noted forever, it seems like this is a hybrid version of the meeting, so we will be looking at a wall of virtual folks up there. And just as a slight reminder, if you're in the audience today and you want to be able to do any public comments, please let us know. Of course, we have nobody joining us today, but if you're on the wall and you want to do public comments, you get the opportunity when that does present itself. And if we don't see it, we would just ask you to raise your hand on the little app or just put something up in the chat box, and we'll definitely monitor that. So with that being said, all commissioners and staff are present needed for this meeting this morning, but we'll go ahead and start by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, again, good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us. And we thought we were running a little late, or at least I thought I was running a little late, but I think we were able to pull it off and start right on time. So as we go through it, if you are looking at an electronic copy of the agenda, we are coming down to item number 3 on today's agenda, which is an approval. First thing that I'd look at is staff. If anybody has, from your side, that any changes, okay, we'll look over to my fellow commissioners if there was any changes there. Everybody's indicating no, so we could actually entertain a motion to approve today's agenda as submitted.
I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda as submitted.
I second that.
And it has been seconded, so I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So we're all working off the same agenda. That's a good thing this morning. So we're down to item number 4, which is the consent agenda items. For those who don't understand or just joining us when it comes to consent agenda items, these are items that the Board of Commissioners have previously reviewed in detail. So for us, what we do is we put them all together and then we can just approve them as such. So I will look to the fellow commissioners if anybody wants to entertain a motion for that.
I make a motion to approve consent items A through I.
So there is a motion on the floor to approve A through I in the consent agenda items.
I second that.
And a second. I'm going to take it there's no further discussion, so I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving on down to the public forum. This is where we get the opportunity. I'll look to staff to see if anybody submitted anything to us.
Nothing was submitted.
Nothing came in through the front office. We do have staff in the audience. They probably don't want to say nothing, but we have no public. But I'll look to the board to see up there if there's anybody on the virtual wall that's raising their hand, making a comment, typing something, not seeing any of that come in. So with that being said, nothing's popped up. I'm going to go ahead and close the public forum aspect with nobody wanting to comment. And we're going to move on down to item 6. If you're following us this morning, there's a resolution number 1025, which is the 2022 rate increase. And so I'll go ahead and open that to staff and we'll go from there.
All right. So resolution 1025 has been presented to the board previously. It is for the rate increase going from $86 per month per equivalent residential unit to $99 per month. If there's any questions, be happy to entertain those, but this has been reviewed by legal and is recommended by staff.
Okay. So I'll look to fellow commissioners on this because I know that we've had some discussion in detail and have had some open public meetings in regards to the resolution itself to hear back from the general public. And so now it's time for the Board of Commissioners to have a discussion and a decision. Don't everybody jump at once. I know that it's.
I really appreciate the public comment period on it, and one of the themes that came through both from what I witnessed online, which you kind of got to chop off the tails and look at the middle, as well as the forum that we had here, was it's a difficult time to be able to have the rate increase come at when there's such great inflation out there. There's big pressure on people's budgets. The challenge is that it's not like inflation took a pass on the district relative to every aspect of our budget. We have 5 years with no rate increases. I think there's some good dialogue and feedback about the philosophy of doing it in larger chunks. I'm still a fan, frankly, of holding out and doing it in one steps, than a increase every year that feels like it's death by 1,000 cuts. I don't think there's any perfect way of doing it. Either side could be defended and have very logical arguments on why to do it one way or the other. But I think I know it's needed. I look at what it is across those 5 years, and with our projections of needing to do another significant increase out in 2025 or 26, whatever the 27, out another 5 years. You look at that over that period of time, it's reasonable within what inflation is, and in some aspects of our business, some of our things go greater than CPI, some of our contracts and so forth. So I'm supportive of the increase to 99 for those reasons, but that's where I'm at.
Okay. Commissioner Wright?
I wish that there had been an increase in the last 5 years. I feel like that was a colossal mistake. An email that we all received from a ratepayer, he talked about, just more like annual periodic rate increases in January, similar to Marysville. I thought it was a valid point. My huge concern is for those on fixed incomes in our population. I feel like this is going to hurt them the most. And so I still would prefer a gradual increase, because I just think it's easier for general rate payers to deal with it. But I understand that, I went line item with the budget, through the budget with the staff, and I don't see how this is avoidable. And we have to, our lake and the water system here is probably the most important thing to our city, and we have to repair that pipe around the lake, or there's going to be major problems in the future. So I do feel like preventative measures are a better way to go about it. So am I excited about the rate increase? Absolutely not. But I do know that this has been thoroughly researched and no one's doing this flippantly. So that's my 2 cents.
No, appreciate it. No, and I would the sentiment that both of you have said, I mean, it's a tough thing for us to take on. Rate increases are tough. I know staff is going to bear a lot of the brunt of it at times, because when the people are I think looking to ensure that we can have a way to ensure that our most vulnerable customer ratepayers have something in place, and I think we've addressed some of that to be able to assist in some of the impacts that are going to come down on it. When it's easy to govern as an elected official when we have nothing but money, and it's easy. I used to tell that to my staff when I worked. It's easy to govern when money's not an issue. This is a tough one, because we like you said, we not only is it just treating the waste that a growing community, but we have to protect the environment first and foremost in that aspect. And it is a tough balance trying to figure out what is going to be, because I know that for years we used to have yearly increases, and you'd get the different feedback, like, no, don't make it yearly, make it every so many years. And that's where we tried to accommodate. And for a while there, we were doing really well trying to not to increase, because that's not what we want to see. We wanted to be the hope was always that you could get to a certain point. I think what we've run into is, as a community, our buildable lands, because the treatment plant was funded through bonds based on a projection that was given to us from the state, the county, the city. So all of us used the available data at that time to try to come up with a financing way back in the day. Now, as I've told some people, I wasn't a commissioner then, but as one now, I accept the responsibility, and that's part of it. And I've spoken to some of our former commissioners that are still in the community, because I have to face them on a day-to-day basis like a lot of other folks. And so I think some of them realized, they knew it was coming. We all knew to a certain degree that with the buildable lands, and the city's build out there had to be a certain point where capital expenditures had to be borne a little bit more through the rates. And so I think that's where they are. It's a tough one. I absolutely hate making those decisions, but again, we were put in a spot that eventually we have to, and we will, bear the brunt of it if the ratepayers want to speak to us, because really they're the ones that have given us this opportunity. So that's where I'm at. It's not something I like to do because it seems like everything's gone up, and it has. So with that, I'm just going to close it at that, and then look to the other board members to see if there's anything further. If there is a motion for this resolution, we'll go from there.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 1025.
So there is a motion on the floor for resolution 1025, and of course, this resolution is from the Board of Commissioners for Lake Stevens Sewer District, adopting a revised monthly sewer service rate for 2022 in accordance with the 2022 comprehensive plan. It has an effective date, I think it was June 1st, if it is approved. So there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I second it.
There is a second on the floor. So it's been moved and seconded for resolution number 1025. With that being said, is there any further discussion before the vote is called? Not hearing for any, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor for resolution 1025, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, staff, thank you everybody for it. I know this was a tough one, and we will all be hearing something, and I appreciate all the hard work on this. This is a tough thing to do. It's something we hope we don't have to do all the time. But they say people, if you get comments addressed to us, please, I know they have our email addresses, and some people do, but if there's others, please let us know. We'll reach out. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to move down to item number 7, which is the item A is the HISE DEA. For those that don't understand that acronym, it's the Developer Extension Agreement. Because I know sometimes we get folks that don't know the different little acronyms we use, but I'm going to look to staff real quick because they're the ones that are going to give us some guidance.
All right, so the HISE DEA is for 36 ERUs. This project requires the construction of a lift station that will provide 283 ERUs of total capacity. And as such, a latecomer basin for up to 247 ERUs will be created once this project is complete. The developer extension agreement's been reviewed by legal engineering and is recommended by staff for approval.
Any questions? The other one that I would have, so the additional ERU capacity that is there, there's another project right around the corner that's probably going to encapsulate that, because I would not see that a developer would just give us that much capacity if there's no future.
A lot of times the capacity is just kind of a byproduct of the minimum pump sizes and stuff. So it's not necessarily reflective of total recoverable equivalent residential units, but district does our part to try to make sure they can maximize on the recovery. But
okay. That's all I just wanted, because I know some people might have questions on that, like why would they build it to such capacity if there's nothing there?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is no further questions from us. How about a motion?
Make a motion to approve the HISE DEA.
So there is a motion on the floor for the HISE DEA.
I second it.
And it has been seconded. So I just want to check one thing real quick to make sure I didn't do something. On the DEA, did it authorize staff to, well, no, it's by us. So, okay, just want to make sure. Sometimes I miss those things. So there is a first and second on the floor for the HISE DEA as presented by staff, approved by legal. So with that, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. If there's no other questions, not seeing it from the fellow commissioners, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Managers report. We'll look to the general manager.
All righty. So next week we plan on publishing a request for proposals, or an RFP, for biosolids hauling and land application. So we can get that contract going. We did recover the Mitsubishi truck that had been stolen earlier in April. There's quite a bit of damage. We're looking at possibly just surplusing that vehicle. Based on earlier utility committee kind of agreements, we're giving the city the first right of refusal if they would like that truck. So that has been offered.
Like having an opportunity to beat up Mitsubishi.
So we have at least extended it over to them. The cybersecurity state auditor's office report is supposed to be published today. I checked this morning and it's not published quite yet, but as soon as that happens, I'll let you know. We are also working with the city we have to do an annual inspection of our primary clarifiers. And so we're trying to work with them to actually fly a drone down instead of having a person enter the confined space. So it'll be a very interesting, innovative project if it works. So we're excited for that partnership with city staff.
Do you fly it with like a piece of fishing line on it so if it doesn't go well, you can fish it?
Probably a good idea.
Or we
Just
like
doing
a life
my
jacket.
Yeah. Flows down to the plant are at 2.84 million gallons a day right now. Our dewatering sludge pump, we had sent out for repairs back in September, but there's been quite a few delays with supply chain issues that is now back and being reinstalled. So excited about that. And then we have landscaping that started for both the office, a few of the lift stations, and at the plant. And so summer work has started for us, pressure washing and all of that. And then down at the plant, our permeate pipe repairs, that is intended to start next week. There have been a few delays with that project as well because of supply chain issues, but that repair should be starting here shortly. That's all I've got.
Cool. Landscape on the inside of the plant, they can make like a moat so nobody can steal our equipment again and get out. You know, they'll just drive through the gate next time.
It's the perennial flowers that are going to be around lift station 2 because it's such a special lift.
Okay, well, thank you on that. How about the assistant GM?
All right. So 41 GFCs collected so far and 76 permits issued. Today, we have a contractor starting work through routine maintenance and CCTV inspection. The staff identified 2 side sewers that are 2 stubs that they saw were crushed from CCTV. And so we've got a contractor out there making those repairs right now. It's at 17th Place Northeast, just down the street, starting that work. That works about 40 grand. So
How did they get crushed? How deep?
we think it was probably during construction. There's water mains and water services. So sewer being the first utility that goes in,
Right.
people lose track of it and run their backhoes and stuff over it. So usually those will be identified when we do our acceptance CCTV prior to the district even accepting it. But these ones, I'm thinking got by us. So yeah, and that's all I got.
Other than we might see a gas line as they're doing some work through one of our.
Yeah.
It seems like gas companies like to bore right through sewer.
Well, we've got a lift station 15's force main and lift station 5's abandoned force main all go through there. So we've asked the gas company to pothole every, they're boring a lot of that. So they're potholing about every 20 feet to find that force main. So yeah. That
Find
would
it
be-
without driving right through it.
Yeah, that would be a pretty big deal. About 2,000 BPM of sewer coming out of little holes would be bad.
They would notice.
You would
Yeah.
hope.
It would look like a JDAM missile had gone off in the middle of the street pretty quick.
Yeah. But I question it sometimes.
Yeah.
Because the flagging this morning was something to be desired, so I couldn't imagine what else. So, okay, well, Thank you so much. I'm going to look to the city to see if anybody from the city is up there this morning. I see Council Member Peter Shagan there, so I didn't know if he wanted to speak on behalf of anything because I don't see the city administrator or the mayor. So,
Good morning. Nothing specific. Just wanted to say thank you for the facility committee meeting yesterday. No other report.
okay, thank you much. Yeah, it was great discussion yesterday in utility meeting, so I appreciate it. Okay, so that we're down to commissioners' reports. We'll look to Commissioner Wright first. So.
Great. Okay. I don't really have anything to report, but since we have passed this resolution, what I would like to see is a visual for ratepayers in their next statement. Instead of it be like, watch out, or that we list the projects that are the improvements that are going to happen. And I realize you guys don't have kids in the school district, but they do kind of like icons or like a real pretty thing that's very quick to read, just very much, people don't read a lot of words anymore, and especially in statements. And so I was just wondering if we could come up with something creative that lists these things that all the money is going towards and the importance of it, so we understand. Yeah, an infographic. Thanks, Jordan. Nice bangs, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, an infographic.
That's a good idea.
Because where we address like inflation, that it does affect the district through electricity, and do you know what I'm saying? Like pinpoint the things so that yes, you feel that sting, but then you're like, oh, we do need to preserve X, Y, and Z. So that's what I would like to see instead of, because even I looked through the bill to see the notice, and it took me a minute to find it. And so I think people aren't like scouring their bills. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. The only thing people mainly look at is what the bottom line number is, and that's just stated. But if you do put some graphic or, almost like a pie chart or something, somebody could see like, hey, that caught my eye.
Yeah, a separate piece of paper that fits the envelope.
Probably easier with an insert than trying to have the bill company try to do this.
Yeah.
Insert would work, should
Yeah.
work quite well.
That's
Plus,
all
it gives
I have.
Mariah something to do. And I like it.
But as I used to say to my staff when they would ask, it's all other duties as assigned. Here you go. I need this. Perfect. Commissioner Koshi.
No, I think that's an excellent idea. I don't have anything this morning. I appreciated the work at the utility committee, and has good dialogue. I'm hopeful, and I think we got the right two people on both sides to be able to work through the details. So high confidence in you and Councilmember Peterson. So look forward to the next steps of that. Hopefully we can continue to build on the positive momentum. That's it.
No, I just want to say thank you to the staff, everybody, for the hard work. I know it's been, it's just like a whirlwind. As Commissioner Rice said, the resolution, for the rate increase, it's a tough one. But I do like the idea if we get something in it, even if it's, like you said, a separate insert that can give a better explanatory to the folks, because again, I know it's a tough one, and it's easy for us to sit up there and do it with just emotion, but we don't necessarily have to deal with a lot of the stuff that comes in with district and staff and anything in that aspect for them that run the daily operations. So, please let us know if there's anything, if there's questions that specific people want to hear from the board members, because I know sometimes they'll reach out and I want to talk to the commissioner. We'll talk to them. So,
Dan's here for that.
So with that, I know we have an executive session this morning. I would anticipate, as I look to staff, half hour. So what I would just say is we'll go to 9:55. That's just about right now, but it takes us a couple minutes. So there would be no action to follow in regards to the executive session, which is for litigation, potential litigation. Of course, I would look to our legal to define all of that with the RCW because they're better at that than the elected officials. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody joining us today. Thank you, everybody. And like I said, once we come out, there'll be no decision to follow, and we would conclude the meeting. So you're more than welcome to join us at the very end if you'd like. So.
All right, the Lake Stevens Sewer District will now move into executive session pursuant to RCW 42-3110, subsection 1, subsection Romanet 1, to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to pending litigation to which the agency is a party. The executive session is expected to conclude at 9:55. At the conclusion, the commission will adjourn the meeting with no expected action to be taken.
Perfect. We'll look to the proverbial record.
This conference will now be recorded.
Well, good afternoon, folks, or morning, I should say. We didn't go that long. So it is 9:55 as we had stated for the executive session. Again, we've come out of executive session into our regular meeting. No decision to follow in regards to anything that was discussed within that executive privilege with our legal. So with that, the only last order of business is a motion to adjourn. If
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
it has moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Bye now.
Take care.
We'll see ya.
Oh, yes.